JTV Cruiser, Luke, what's good? Yo, welcome back to another video reaction to geography. Now today we're finna be checking out Trinidad and Tobago. Now before we do go into this video, it is hella long, so I ain't gonna be doing too much talking in the intro, but just a few facts, information. When I first started my channel, I was doing reactions to like Trinidadian soca. Trinidad now is like one of my favorite, like the loved islands in the Caribbean. It's my favorite accent within the whole world, you know what I'm saying? Love the diversity of Trinidad. Got a couple dope homies from Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? And I just love everything to do with Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? And today I'm gonna be acknowledging myself more. You know, this video just literally released. It was just a notification. I've been waiting for this one from day dot one. You know what I'm saying? The home of soca. Every Trinidadian, shout out yourself, man. I got quite a couple of homies on here from, since the days I started doing soca. Roots and them thing there. So love for you guys if you're still subscribed to the channel and still watching my videos, you feel me? So straight in, boy. Boom.
So we've done this before, let's do it again. If the Caribbean was a family, Jamaica would be the one in charge of the music, Bahamas in charge of the guest list. You got Team Mofongo, Team Baguette, Team Amsterdam, you got Team Crumpet, the Bougie crew, the Homeboy crew, and once again, Dominica is quietly reading a book in the corner, and then just when the party starts getting good, the twins arrive. Decked out, these guys came to the party prepared. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago. It's time to learn geography. Everyone, I'm your host, Barbs. Trinidad and Tobago. I actually had the pleasure of meeting some of you guys, the Trini Geography peeps, when I briefly visited a few years back, and some of you guys will be featured in this episode, so woohoo! Well, for what it's worth, we do have a little bit of Trinidad and Tobago with us today. With that, say hi to Mr. Mason. How you doing?
Good afternoon, all ya. What's the scene? My name is Mason, as Barb said. Half Trini, half Jamaican. Hands down the best Caribbean mix in the world. If you disagree, go argue with your mother.
Do you have a Trini mom or Trini dad?
My mother is Trini and my dad is Jamaican.
One thing you just gotta say to the world about Trinidad and Tobago before we start. Go.
Can't play mas if you're afraid powder.
What does that mean?
Don't go into something knowing some about to happen and be surprised when it happens.
All right. You know the is coming.
All right.
This episode is gonna be a mess. We've done twin island countries before, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Sao Tome and Principe.
But Trinidad and Tobago are twins from a whole new level.
Let's just go to the map now, shall we? Trinidad and Tobago is the most southerly of all Caribbean island nations, considered part of the Windward Islands in the Lesser Antilles. They are made up of Trinidad, which makes up about 93% of the landmass and holds about 95% of the population.
That's like so crazy, like going back, like no disrespect to anyone, you know what I'm saying? When I first found Trinidad and Tobago from when I was a little youth on the map, I thought it was like a little Venezuelan island there, so you know what I'm saying? But them times there I was learning and absorbing everything like a sponge, you know what I'm saying?
As well as Tobago,
hang on.
About 93% of the landmass and holds about 95% of the population. As well,
I don't know what the history is like way back, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully it might be sportscast might be putting that clear to me. I don't know, bit of history and knowledge.
Well, Tobago, the smaller yet spunky sister island. They are located about 80 miles southeast of Grenada, and at the closest point only about 7 miles or 11 kilometers to the southern Icacos Peninsula to mainland Venezuela across the Columbus Channel. Also nearly the same distance between Chacachacare Island to the Macuro Peninsula up north across the Bocas del Dragon, or the Mouth of the Dragon Channel. Fun fact, Chacachacare used to be a leper colony. By the way, see this little guy, Patos Island? It used to belong to Trinidad until 1942 when it was ceded to Venezuela. Speaking of which, they have about 35 smaller islands and islets, mostly off the west coast of Trinidad and 4 off of Tobago. In any case, administratively, Trinidad and Tobago is made up of 9
Did anyone, is it inhabited? Like, do people live in those other 35? Or is it just like wildlife?
regions, 3 boroughs, 2 city corporations, and 1 ward.
Please answer my questions, like, you know what I'm saying? I like to acknowledge myself, especially being one of my loved favorite island, you know what I'm saying, Trinidad.
Which refers to the entire island of Tobago. Tobago is a ward. The capital city is Port of Spain, which is its own city corporation, and it is the only capital city named after another country that they are not. The country has 2 international airports, one for Trinidad, Picaro International, and one for Tobago, ANR Robinson International. Otherwise, the Port of Spain is the biggest and busiest shipping port and passenger seaport. There are ferry services 2 to 3 times a day between Port of Spain and Scarborough, Tobago. The trip only lasts about 2.5 hours and is super cheap, usually less than $20 round trip. Roads go to most part of the islands in the north, however, roads stop and are disconnected for about 10.5 miles between Maricel Bay and Matalat Bay. This means if you wish to visit any of the secluded and isolated beaches on the north, you can only do so by a long hike or by boat.
That looks beautiful, boy. Quick question. What's the safest part of Trinidad? Or as a tourist, are you alright? Cause I know Trinidad's had some rocky few years, you know what I'm saying? So
same story in the south. There are virtually no coastal roads, and you will need to go inland or on boat to visit any of the coastal towns.
So interesting side notes, Trinidad and Tobago weren't always one unit prior to 1887 when they merged.
In fact, Tobago is the most diverse, colonially switched island in the Caribbean.
Wait, I thought I was fought over the most in the Caribbean.
You were, but mostly just between the British and French. I'm talking about diversity of colonialists. Tobago at some point fell under the Spanish,
Dutch,
French,
British,
and yes, even for a brief period, it was one of the only 2 overseas colonies of the Courlanders in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. That means if they succeeded, Tobago actually could have been speaking either Polish or Lithuanian.
That's nuts.
Isn't that weird?
This is why so many Anglicized place names in Trinidad and Tobago leave clues to the former colonial powers that took over. For example, my house in Trinidad, I live near Margarita Drive. You can tell that it has a Spanish influence.
They also have some French-inspired places like these.
And even in English, they have some funny-sounding names like
Scorpion Lane.
There's literally a 21 Jump Street.
Hard Bargain.
Goodwood.
Pepper Village.
Pepper Village.
You know that place? You been there? Yeah. What do they got? Do they got peppers there?
They got some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Even a town called Redhead.
Redhead.
Wow, that's destiny. Book my flight. I want to be with my people.
Another thing, shortly after independence, 12 of the islands that were formerly governed by the British decided to form a new country called the West Indies Federation, with the capital, of course, being Port of Spain. They had a really cool flag. They even competed as a nation and won 2 bronze medals in the 1960 Rome Olympics.
Remember that time you almost became my 11th province back in 1961?
Damn.
That's weird. You guys were almost Canadian. In any case, that's enough backstory. Let's talk about some of the top notable sites that you can see if you decide to visit
hey, who's your favorite soca artist?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Keyword Trinidad and Tobago. There are 2 islands and both have much to offer.
To give us the rundown.
See, I have that bad habit of just saying Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? I should really just Trinidad and Tobago.
Down here's Trinity Geography, Adrian.
So I apologize if
Hey everyone, I'm Adrian from Trinidad and Tobago, and if you decide to visit our country, we have lots of cool places for you to check out. To get a sense of history across the country, you can visit cool places like the Issa Wright Nature Center, the National Academy for the Performing Arts, the Royal Botanic Gardens, the Red House, which is the seat of Parliament, Fort King George and Tobago.
The way he said that, I thought he just said a cuss word. Just the way he said it, boy.
The museum, the National Museum and Art Gallery. Some popular line in our hangout spots are the Waterfront Port of Spain, Pier 1 Chagaramas, Cross in San Fernando, also known as the Cross, Arapita Avenue, which is the nightlife hub at Port of Spain, Queen's Park Savannah, and Pigeon Point Road, Tobago. Due to our diverse population, we have lots of religious buildings such as Mount St. Benedict Monastery and Holy Trinity Cathedral, the Gina Memorial Mosque, and Hindu temples such as the temple in the sea at Waterloo, and the Dattatreya Temple and Hanuman statue. We also have
What's like, is Trinidad and Guyana like the culture tradition almost the same? Cause I get quite a few people saying 1-2 things are almost the same, you know?
fun theme parks for little recreation, such as the Five Islands Amusement Park, Scallywag Bay Adventure Park, Harry's Water Park as well. And of course, one of the most iconic landmarks of the country, the magnificent 7 houses. Make sure to find all 7 of them while in Port of Spain. There you go. Come visit and have some fun with us.
And of course, one thing Trinidad definitely boasts are the copious amounts of beaches, waterfalls, forests, and overall nature zones that get pretty intense. We'll explain more about that in the next
Pretty
section.
intense?
Did you know?
Hey man, I'm all about the nature and the mountains, boy. That's all me. Waiting for this freaking ad to hurry up.
So we've covered every Caribbean nation, and we've come across some interesting physical features.
Then Trinidad and Tobago steps it up and adds a whole new category to the game.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but first, the motion graphic. First of all, the country is located on the Gulf of Paria to the west, the Caribbean Sea to the north, and the Atlantic Ocean to the east.
I apologize if I keep pointing the audio up and down. It's just the audio's all over the place. A bit low, a bit high, you know what I'm saying?
The country is also at the very convergence of the South American and Caribbean tectonic plates, which in return puts them in the middle of various fault lines. The northern part of Trinidad literally straddles the El Pilar Fault, a transformed fault line that essentially forms the northern range, the tallest mountain range of the country. Here you can also find the tallest peak, Cerro del Aripo. This is also the source of the Caroni River, the largest and longest in the country, which also feeds into the Caroni Arena Reservoir, the largest inland body of water. Most of the rest of Trinidad is flat, with only two smaller hilly regions known as the Central and Southern Range, caused by the Dunmore Hill Thrust Fault and the Los Bajos Fault Line. The country is...
So I guess the north is more rainy, probably, most likely, you know what I'm saying? And the southern's more like dryish.
Two main wetlands that many rivers drain into, the Caroni Swamp just under Port of Spain, and then the Arriva Swamp on the east side. Otherwise, much of Tobago in the north is hilly with its own range, known as the Tobago Main Ridge, and the highest peak there being Mount Dillon. Just on the west side of Tobago, close to the airport, you also find the famous diving spot Bucco Reef, which has the coral gardens and the nylon pool, a natural pool only 1 meter deep that many people visit. Otherwise, the country experiences a maritime tropical climate with a dry season that lasts 5 months of the year, followed by 7 wet. Finally, due to their location so far south in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago generally lies outside the hurricane belt. Nonetheless, occasionally they may experience an earthquake every so often, the strongest one ever recorded in 1997, hitting 6.7 on the Richter scale. So here's the thing, because Trinidad is literally on the exact fault line between the tectonic plates, the country in return has some unique qualities.
For one, geothermal. Although we are nowhere near the level of other Caribbean islands, we have about 20 known mud volcanoes, mostly in the south part of the country, the most notable in the town of Paparo.
Second, Trinidad has the world's largest deposit of natural asphalt. This place, known as Pitch Lake, stands at over 40 hectares in area and 75 meters deep, holding about 10 million tons of asphalt. Do they use that asphalt for the roads or anything?
They should use it more so than they have been. At least the roads I've been on in Trinidad.
And that's the thing, Trinidad is unique in that economically they are primarily industrial, putting a huge emphasis on the petroleum and petrochemical sector. To explain more on that, here's Noah.
Alright, let's get to it, shall we? Insert VFX intro here. So, the Caribbean. These countries are always fun. Going back to the Pitch Lake we just discussed, the reason it is there is because much of the southern part of Trinidad lies on a heavy oil reservoir zone, both on land and in the sea. In addition, they have heavy and rich natural gas deposits within their EEZ boundaries offshore. The largest one found in the NCMA, or North Coast Marine Area, in the Columbus Shelf on the east side. The state-owned company, Petrotrin, operates over half of the country's development and manufacturing alone. This makes them the largest producer of natural gas in the CARICOM and the second largest oil producer after Guyana. These alone account for about 40% of their GDP and 80% of exports. So, as you can see, despite the tropical Caribbean getaway exterior, there's a huge energy sector emphasis that actually drives much of the nation. It's like a supermodel that works on an oil rig. All this industrial activity has played a role in making them the 5th richest country in the Americas and classified as a high-income economy. The best part, these resources have actually put them in a trade surplus, and thankfully the government had actually used said funds to build their infrastructure quite well. The main international airport got a huge expansion in 2001. Roads were paved and more desalinization plants were constructed to help rural citizens get clean water.
Properly allocating surplus funds to improve civil structure? That's so hot.
This hasn't...
You know what? I don't mind improvement of, obviously we don't mind improvements of roads and buildings and yards and them thing there, but being in an island and, having wildlife, you'd want to, protect. They're in certain, you could say most cities, they're just destroying, the skyline, just high blocks, high apartments, expensive this, expensive that. And in a sense, it kills, what the islands really are, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not more so for Trinidad, but I'm speaking more of, my backgrounds, you know what I'm saying? Just, sometimes just wish nature's untouched, you feel me? Just build a couple of houses in it, but money, what can you say? People always money hungry, them big people up there.
Return given Trinidad and Tobago one of the highest growth rates and per capita incomes in the Americas, and is often
But Trinidad looks quite big. I mean, just Trinidad alone looks like landmass looks massive.
seen as the finance hub of the Caribbean. Finance hub, not tax haven.
It's probably like what? The biggest in the Caribbean, Trinidad, in terms of landmass? Is it? Or second? No, I think maybe first.
Sorry, I thought I misheard you on that. Carry on.
In any case, in Trinidad, the natural sights do not stop at a tar-filled lake. You can find bioluminescent beaches, a bamboo cathedral, amazing caves, and waterfalls. And it all harbors life. And speaking of life, there's a lot of wildlife going on. And to discuss that, here's Gary Harlow.
Right, go to.
Check out this wild turtle that I just found. If you shake it, you can hear it. So, Trinidad and Tobago are actually quite unique compared to the other Caribbean islands, due to the fact that long ago it was actually connected to South America. About 100 species of mammals, 90 species of reptiles, and 30 species of amphibians can be found in the country. The country has two national birds, one representing Trinidad, the scarlet ibis, and one representing the
Thought that was a
Tobago,
flamingo
the
for a second.
rufous-tailed chakalaka. And in fact, birds are the most prevalent species found here, as over 480 species either live permanently or migrate here, including 18 kinds of hummingbird. Trinidad was even called the Iere, meaning land of the hummingbird, by the native Arawak people. The country has 61 protected areas, including the Tobago Main Ridge Forest Reserve, established in 1776. And finally, off the coast there are loads of coral reefs, but did you know, no, you probably didn't, that Tobago has the largest known brain coral in the world. This massive guy sits at 10 feet, or 3 meters high, and 16 feet, 5.3 meters across.
Damn.
Ad-lib exit. Well, see you later.
Thank you, Gary. Well, I'm going to transition out of here, and usually I would do the food segment, and I will again one day. But Trinidad geography Jason will be informing you today on all the wonderful food that Trinidad and Tobago have to offer. I'll just let him have it for this one time.
Thank you, Noah.
Speaking of animals in Trinidad, one thing they do have is snakes. I did have to turn a snake to sushi with a cutlass.
You just like,
Oh yeah, you guys eat shark too. I was just talking about that the other day. I was on social media and I saw shark near Trinidad and some, a few comments. Yeah, you always have to read the comment section, I hear the banter and everything there. And then I was like, I didn't know you guys like eat shark and things. So I was asking my bedroom the other day, his name's T. I was like, yo T, what shark taste like? It's like, it's part of main dish. Like, didn't know that, but learn things every day. Maybe you might taste it one day if I just hop up to Trinidad, Hey, that was meant to be my plan, me and T, but then hit. But we was meant to hit Trinidad for carnival. Mad fam, telling you, women are so gorgeous over them sides there.
Is snakes. I did have.
Didn't know you eat snakes too though. Wow. What did that taste like? I mean, not the taste, but what is it like? Is it like chicken? Is it like eating cow? Or is it just its own different texture? What about shark though? What's the texture like?
To turn a snake to sushi with a cutlass.
you just like,
Yes.
well, as you can see,
I guess he didn't literally mean eat snake. I mean, okay, I'm just...
Trinidad and Tobago has quite a bit going on. It's lush yet industrious.
So many flavors in Trinidad and Tobago, much like the intense cuisine we boast.
To talk more on that, here's Trini geography Jason to explain.
Hello geography peeps, my name is Jason and I'm here to talk about the food of Trinidad and Tobago. The food of Trinidad and Tobago, just like many other countries in America, is based on the cultures of the people that settle these lands. From our Afro settlers we get things like kuku, callaloo, stewed meats, which are very interesting because the stewed meats are made using brown sugar which we burn or caramelize to give that deep rich color and flavor. From our Indo settlers we get things like
curries. Don't even get me started on curry. I love curry. Anything with spice,
dal, curries, flatbreads which we call roti, and even our most popular street food, doubles. Then there's some unique dishes like our bacon shack, declared one of the best sandwiches by Paul Zimmerman on his visit.
Why does it look tasty though? I guess it must be.
Trinidad and Tobago. And pilau, similar to a jambalaya made with rice, stewed
similar to what?
Zimmerman on his visit to Trinidad and Tobago. And pilau, similar to a jambalaya made with rice, stewed meat and vegetables. We love big, bright, bold flavors. We hate bland food. We must have our hot sauce. In fact, one of the hottest peppers in the world, the Moruga scorpion pepper, comes from Trinidad. So if you've never tried Trinidad...
I've tasted, I've done a challenge on here. It was one of my almost first videos. I think slightly before my Trinidadian soca reactions. The third Pottish chicken challenge, if that is like equivalent to almost one of those, boy. Oh no, I can't eat food that spicy, man. It's gotta be spice, but at least you can taste the food, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't like spice, well, boy.
Tobago food, I hope you do, because you're gonna love it.
One of the biggest draws, especially on the beaches of Trinidad, is bacon shark. My personal favorite, Uncle Sam's, Richard's Bacon Shark. Not
he's putting them on you.
At least there's a few, you know, you can't go wrong really. It's basically a flour baked tortilla with, you know, lettuce, tomato, shark, pepper sauce. You know, don't put too much now. If not shark, you can also put different types of fish, kingfish, other fish inside the bake as well.
So it doesn't always have to be shark.
I never asked you that.
Oh, by the way, if you want to piss off a group of Caribbean people, all you got to do is ask them.
Trinidad has the best KFC in the islands. Trinidad, hands down, for sure. Yeah, no, it ain't nothing.
Well, another...
You know what? That's wild that he says that, you know, cause like Maccadees in like say the UK, and you try it like in an island, like the meats or like that sounds wrong, but like the chickens or whatever you want to call it taste different. It's like, yo, that was made from that land, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really made from what they kind of same way they make or get them chickens from, like say the UK or something like that. But yo, KFC in Trinidad, okay, I heard of that one before too, so might try that one still.
Best KFC in the islands. Trinidad, hands down, for sure. Yeah, no, it ain't nothing.
Well, another thing that adds 11 secret spices and herbs to the country.
Bro, you're cool, man. Don't need to keep fixing yourself up. You're cool, bruh.
Are the people. Let's discuss them in the next segment. Alright, so first thing, titles. You can also say Trinidadian. Well, what is the most commonly used one?
Trinis.
Trinis, there you go. Very quickly, what do you want to say about Trini people, Mason?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that Trini men does real horn. That is 5-10% tops.
Yeah, I hear that one too still. But Trinidad, let's say the Trinidad accent, boy. Woo! Can't wait.
Cannot take the blame.
Very quickly, how would you explain the difference between Trinidad and Tobago?
You see more, you know, African descent people. It's very small. You go the whole island in a day. My favorite place is Store Bay. Love to swim there.
Tobago's like the chill, like relaxed place. Trinidad's like the industry place.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, Trinidad and Tobago is disputably the most diverse island in the Caribbean.
There is a long story that comes with this place, but first, let's do the...
Oh, women in Trinidad though. Don't get me started. And then when I just hear the talk, I'm like, what? Boy, listening and I'm there, boy. I don't even have to talk. Just keep talking. I'll be like, yo, wait.
Demographic.
You know?
There we go.
The country of Trinidad and Tobago has about 1.4 million people and has the highest percentage of Indo-Caribbean people per population out of all the Caribbean islands.
Has the highest percent of Indo-Caribbean, yo.
The Indo-Trinidadians descend from ancestors brought over from India in the 1800s, and they make up about 35% of the population. From there, about 34% are black or Afro-Trinidadians. About 15% of the country claims to be mixed in whatever degree. Going off of that, about 8% are Dougla, a word that means mixed between African and Indian.
Dougla. You see, there was a word growing up in the UK that I learned that you shouldn't say. It's a different word for saying Duke. What is it? Oh, it's... I don't want to even... I'm not going to say the word, period. Because I didn't know this. Growing up in the UK, it was like, yeah, everyone was saying it. It wasn't... It's like equivalent to... how... It's the C word, you know what I'm saying? When someone's like mixed with Indian and African, they have that type texture of hair where you call it the coo. I'm not going to say it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like saying almost equivalent to the N word. And I did not know that ish. When I first learned that when I first started in YouTube, like, was it finna be 5 years, so let's just say 4 years, let's just say 3 years and a half. I mentioned that word in a video once and I was like, rah, didn't know that. A couple of my homies, you know what I'm saying, like, Just Blaze was hitting me up on my socials like, yo, them words there you can't say. And I was like, yo, I didn't know that, you know. I was like, thanks for the heads up. I had to take that video down because I did not know that did not go, you know what I'm saying. So you learn, you know what I'm saying, and when you're not from there, you learn, bro. So that's a mistake you'll never get me catch saying again, you know what I'm saying, cause you learn and you move on, and that's how it's meant to be. But in the UK, it's a word where people just say like, oh yeah, he's, you know, not the N word, I'm saying the C word. He's, it's like, oh, that's cool, man, what's your mate, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, yo, it's mad, bro.
And the remaining 8% of the country are other groups, mostly Asian and European in descent.
That's one thing in the UK they need to rectify that. It's like the homies on you know what I'm saying, just need to put people on game like, yo, you can't be saying that. You know what I'm saying? Just use Douglas instead. But like, that was the first time I ever heard.
We use the Trinidad and Tobago dollar as the currency. We currently use types A and B plug outlets and drive on the left side of the road. If you're driving in Trinidad and Tobago, make sure your predictability skills are on point. People don't use indicators for okay? You gotta get around, you get in a maxi, you get in a taxi. They don't know you're foreign, but try to be hospitable, try to be nice, you know, so they don't overcharge you, that's all. Have manners, that's the biggest key.
The moment you open your
Always, you know. That's me, for sure. But yeah.
Your mouth, they can tell.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Even with me.
Even with you. Now, back to the people. As you can see by the graph that we just showed you, Trinidad has quite a diverse population.
For one, it all started with the indigenous Arawak and Carib peoples that inhabited the islands first, speculated to have
Caribs. They kind of give me like the Peruvian, Bolivian type, like facial features type-ish. I mean, this is black and white, so I don't even...
dated back to 5000 BC.
From there, after Christopher Columbus stopped by in 1498, European involvement started, and like most everywhere else in the Americas, separate waves of outside migration came in.
Even though it was originally colonized by the Spanish, more French people settled in Trinidad, which played a role in creating their patois. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, you guys got a patois. The Atlantic slave trade brought in the Africans, and then later slavery was abolished, and then indentured...
What?
Which played a role in creating their patois. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, you guys got a patois. The Atlantic slave trade brought in the Africans, and then later slavery was abolished, and then indentured servants were brought in from India. Later on, people like the Chinese and Arabs were brought in. So that's basically how they became what they are today.
With all of this in mind, you'll have different groups of Trini people all over the country. And here's some of my fellow Trinis who grew up in Trinidad to give you a little bit of what it's...
I guess you mean like communities.
Like.
One unique thing about growing up as a white Trini is that depending on what part of Trinidad you're in, they might not even realize that you're a Trini. When I was young, me and my family would...
It's like a few in Jamaica still. You got like, what's his name? White Yard, and you got Tugga from, you know.
Go on like trips to the east for the weekend, for example, right? And people would come up to us and ask, oh, what country are you all visiting from? Because they thought that we were tourists. When they hear us, you can be like, yeah, we're from the west. They'd be like, oh, like... Some of them didn't even know that they had...
Oh, don't you just love the Trinidad? Oh my gosh. I don't even have to look at the woman's face. Like, just hearing it is just so... You know, if you put a Bayesian and a Trini next to each other, they say it's like two hummingbirds where they like, it's like talk, it's like hearing birds singing. But yo, the Trinidad accent gonna be best,
white trees, which is pretty interesting, but makes perfect sense. White trees, which is pretty interesting, but makes perfect sense because, you know, white people only make up about 1% of the population anyways. So yeah, that was just sort of a unique experience growing up.
I think what all Trinis can agree on would be our ability to make anything and everything an absolute joke, no matter how dire the circumstances. So let's say the country's under some kind of curfew situation, curfew parties. If there's a terrorism or bomb threat, blow out sales in the mall. I think Trinidadians have like an unrivaled sense of humor, and we're very proud of it.
Thank you, guys. All right, let's talk about language. So in Trinidad and Tobago, there is, of course, a Trini dialect and a patois. They are two separate things. What's a Trini dialect like?
The dialect is just short and sweet. Trini people talk fast. They want to get to the point.
What are some things only Trini people say?
They don't say dumb. They'll say you're dotish. You're dotish or what? Like, are you stupid or what? I mean, they do say party, but we just say fete.
Oh, fete, that's like French inspired.
Exactly, yeah. Juve, fete.
But that's like most Caribbean islands, isn't it?
That's French inspired. Trinis don't say kickback or hang. They just lime. We look into lime. We're not looking.
I'm learning some. Yo, brushing up the Trini out here. When I go to Trinidad, you feel me though?
Otherwise, there's the patois, which is actually French-based and related to Haitian Creole.
Ross, I've never heard of that. It's my first time hearing this, you know.
Or the patois spoken in places like Martinique and St. Lucia. And over time, the patois has been kind of dying out.
I've never heard anyone from Trinidad that speaks the Trinidadian patois, you know what I'm saying? The dialect, yeah, bad, enough, loads, you know what I'm saying? But yo.
But there is a revival attempt to bring it back, and here's one of you guys, the geographies, to explain.
Okay.
Bel bonjour tout le monde.
Is he from France? Is that why?
Non moi c'est Jake et puis moi sorti la Trinité et puis Tobago. Now the language that I was just speaking is our Trini Patois. It's a French lexicon Creole. In 1783, Trinidad became heavily settled by French Creole and French speakers from the French West Indies. This language was the lingua franca of Trinidad up until the early 20th century. Sadly, this is an endangered language now. That's because the British Attorney General, Charles William Warner, he implemented an Anglicization policy to get rid of the French and French Creole influence on Trinidad. However, you can still hear our patois being spoken in rural communities such as Calparo, Blanchisseuse, Maruga, and Paramin, of course. Some things that you can learn to say in patois. How are you?
So hold up a second. Let's go back a step. So what's the like in schools? Is it like proper English? Is it like the Trinidadian like a dialect? Like break it down for a brother. You feel me? Yeah, like what other languages are you taught in school? Second languages, you feel me? Like hit me down below.
Which is Kumanouye, what's up, Sakafet, all is good,
I know that one.
Bagay bien, and Ayo, which means goodbye. Every Trini uses patois nearly every day without realizing it. Moi crois que patois que vive toujours. I believe patois will live on forever.
Thank you. Now, religion.
So faith-wise, the country is about 2/3 Christian and about 20% Hindu, 6% Muslim, and even there's a small community of Orisha adherents.
Orisha being a native religion of the Yoruba people in West Africa.
You definitely see the presence of religion for sure. Otherwise, despite the diversity, there are some things that are generally distinctly Trinbagonian.
What do you want to add to the list of things that are distinctly Trinbagonian?
I would say people that's being your business. People are nosy. I drink water and mind my business. But most Trinis are a little nosy, especially neighbors, you know.
I think that's like most islanders, you know. Let's be honest. Most islanders, you can go any of my islands, any of my, you know, few islands that I'm from, they're all the same, bro. They could know you're from the hood or whatever, they still just be watching like, bro. And the thing is, growing up in like foreign, like say the UK, whatever, a person that stares and stares and stares and stares, it comes like a big disrespect, you feel me? It's like, yo, keep your eyes off, you feel me? Like, you have to keep looking at, man, kind of thing. So, you know, boy, it's a sticky one. You get used to it, but it's annoying. I mean, maybe being from the island, if I grew up that way and I was that way, I mean, I don't know, man. I can't really see it being, you know, growing up elsewhere, but I understand. In a way, it's okay, it's cool. Like, if, like, obviously I've got a property back a yard, and like I'm like, I don't know, going to the city or traveling or doing something else, and people are seeing people that are not from around the area, local area, put it as that, and they're seeing some bookie movements, then they'll holler, man, and be like, yo, there's some bookie ass people hollering, you know, some bookie movements around the local area and ish. It's like bird watch, boy, they're on watch, you feel me? But when it's like, bro, you know me, why do you have to keep watching my every movement? That's the only thing that really gets on my nerve. But hey, it is what it is, man. You just gotta blend in and try and.
They want to know when you come, when you're going, you know.
They want to know about your business, yeah, feel me, dog.
All that. 2 words is almost me.
I hate, that's one thing, man. I'm not really a people person, you feel me? Introvert, when I'm in my island, I like to go out. But introvert and keep myself to myself, don't bother me, you feel me? But if we cool, we cool, yeah.
Confusion and drama, comments and bacchanal. You hear those words used to describe men and women who like to gossip, who like drama. Okay. Like saying, you feel me? Like, come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. Stop playing. In Trinidad, they call lighter skinned people either red or yellow. For example, I'm light brown, I would be a red, yellow tone.
You'd be considered red.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's just how they do it.
Now, we can't sugarcoat everything. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago does have some controversies. For one, they have been at the crossroads of the drug cartel activity coming in from multiple communities.
It's hard to get exact numbers, but some sources indicate that some...
I heard like recently, like the Vinnies and Trinis is like, yo, that's been active on that side, bro. Even though it was like the beginning of the pandemic or whatnot, there was enough boats and them. They were crazy, bro.
Somewhere about 20% of Trinidad's informal economy is tied to cartel activity.
This spills over into the fact that some areas of Trinidad and Tobago have high crime rates. The locals will know all the details, so just let them guide you.
Trinidad was also a destination spot for quite a few Venezuelans.
let them guide you, but hopefully they're guiding you the right way, cause like you don't want to be asking any certain wrong questions and they're directing you to a wrong place, so they'll be like, oh, this guy want to know too much and shit. Well, you gotta be careful when you're overseas, bro.
During the 2019 refugee crisis, which put a whole new situation on.
What was that?
Quite a few Venezuelans during the 2019 refugee crisis.
2019. So yeah, slightly you know what I'm saying, bro, last times, same in my island, bro, back at yard, the same thing, bro.
Which put a whole new situation on our small nation.
We're not going to get too much into these topics. You are free to discuss them in the comments, but we got to move on.
And what better way to move on than to discuss sports? Here's Art with the sports part. Let me go.
Trinidad and Tobago, let's go! Sports here is nothing short of a massively popular pastime that the people take huge pride in. One unique thing that they do here, goat racing. Have you ever rode a goat? Don't milk it though. Goat milk is delicious though. Originating in Buco, Tobago, the sport involves jockeys that run alongside their goats on a 100-yard field.
So think about that. It's not just the goats that gotta be fast. Homies that are running behind the goats gotta be just on game as much as the freaking goat. Yo, that's wild. That's two in one sport, you know what I'm saying?
So both the racer and the goat have to be in good shape. You better be sending your goat to the gym or you're not going to win this race. No slacking. Otherwise, TNT has produced some notable boxing champions like these guys. They've made a few waves at the Olympics, racking up 3 gold medals, all in athletics. Anyway, soccer or football is a major pastime as well. Nothing made them happier than when their national team, the Soca Warriors, qualified for the 2006 World Cup in Germany. This made them the second smallest country population-wise to qualify after Iceland. In the end though, their favorite sport that they seem to excel the best would have to be cricket, obviously brought in by the British. This dude, Brian Lara, is considered one of the best cricket players of all time. He alone has racked up quite a few world records in the sport, and he doesn't eat crickets, he just plays it. You'll see cricket pitches all over the country, including the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain, their most famous pitch, second largest in the Caribbean, able to seat 20,000 people. They love this sport. Well, that's it for me and Tarchin. We have to get back up to space.
Thanks, Art. Well, whether it's sports or dancing, somehow Trinis are always moving.
The most active event or the best event in Trinidad would definitely be Carnival, Trinidad Carnival. Oh, everything's blocked off. People in the
costumes are beautiful and colorful, yo.
Streets, you're really experiencing something that very few places in the world can organize. The costume.
Like to me, personally, yo, Trinidad has the best carnival in the world, personally.
The rhinestones, hand glued, hand stitched, everything is very done up. It's 100% worth it, and it's a great time for sure. I'd recommend it to anybody that enjoys.
To expound a little bit more on the cultural highlights of Trinidad and Tobago, here's Random Hannah to explain.
You know the one there with the ink couple in your mofo faces? Yeah, them one there, yeah, I loved. Oh, yo. Personally, it's better than the Brazilian one, but that's just me.
Hi guys, I'm back. And remember, you guys can get a Random Hannah shirt at geographynow.com. Anyway, just like we discussed with the food, you will find an incredibly diverse mix within the culture of Trinidad and Tobago. Somewhere, somehow, you will find hints of indigenous Indian, African, French, English, Spanish, and even Chinese undertones within daily life. Their arts and literature have developed quite a few notable individuals, including V.S. Naipaul, who won not only the Trinity Cross, but also was knighted by the Queen of England in 1990 and won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2001. Visual arts have also made their names known worldwide, the first and most notable one being Michel Jean Casabon. After his death, the Trinidad and Tobago Art Society was formed, which helped countless talented individuals thrive and share their work. One art form Trinis takes super seriously, of course, is everything that happens in Carnival. Carnival to Trinis is not just a celebration, but a very complex and meticulously organized art form. It's been said that once Carnival is over, the next day people are already planning the next one next year. Trinidad's Carnival is the largest in the Caribbean and disputably the 3rd or 4th largest in the world, which is impressive considering their size. Trinity Carnival includes the typical feathered costumes and stilt performers, but they also add distinct elements invented in Trinidad and Tobago, such as a limbo stick, sometimes even lit on fire. Holy and steel pan drums, usually playing calypso and soca. Trinis are super proud of the steel pan drum. I've just found out some really good news, everyone. Keith may not do the music segment. Let's find out.
Music segment, man. Yo, you got Nessa Preppy. You got some amazing artists, female artists, male artists, but the female artists, Patrice Roberts. Oh my God, what was the one there with the oh man, I've forgotten the name, man. She has the most sweetest voice. When I first heard her voice, I was like, yo, she bangs, boy. Nyla Blackman, yo, goddess for real.
Yeah, guys, Keith is busy. As you know, he moved to Florida, he has a job, he has a life. So we're gonna have Geography's Darlene and Brandon from Trinidad and Tobago fill in. Take it away, guys.
My name is Brandon.
And I'm Darlene.
And we're here to tell you all about the different types of music in TNT.
Hey, the artwork looking dope, man. I mean, in terms of the edits on this.
Can dive into our various types of music. We must begin with Calypso.
Calypso music was invented in 19th century Trinidad and can trace its roots back to West African Kaiso.
It was originally called the poor man's newspapers, as it was the main means of spreading current events across the islands at a time where literacy was not widespread. Chutney music. Chutney music is an Indo-Indigenous genre invented in Trinidad and is popular throughout Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Suriname. Chutney music is a mixture of Bhojpuri music with
I thought it would add an influence of like Indian type too.
influences from traditional Calypso and Bollywood filmy songs.
Soca music was invented in the 1970s by Garfield Blackman, also known as Rashodia. His idea behind the genre was to fuse the African song and East Indian song together to create a fusion song unique to Trinidad and Tobago. Soca is groovier than Calypso and a bit up-tempo, and it is widely played throughout the Caribbean.
Parang
music.
That's it, parang. Yo, Venezuelan thing there. Yeah, parang. That's what I meant. I didn't even mean chutney. Was it Romy? I don't know how you say name. He's the one that does parang, right? Yeah, he's dope in that section. Like one of the artists I listen to. Parang
was brought to TNT.
You know what? I always felt that I never really done my research on parang, but like it's got a like Spanishy type feel. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents grew up in you know what I'm saying, Venezuela and that. I lived there for a couple of years and then I branched out. But yo,
music was brought to TNT by Venezuelan migrants and is traditionally sung during the Christmas period.
Traditional parang music is sung in Spanish
and
accompanied by an array of instruments such as
cuatro,
steel pan,
box bass,
chacha,
just to name a few.
But when did that start? When did the whole parang start? They didn't even mention the year. Someone hit me up.
Some famous singers of Trinidad and Tobago are
the Lord Kitchener,
Calypso Rose,
the Mighty Sparrow,
Destra Garcia,
yeah, Machine Montana. Hey, I don't know about the old school. I know about the new school. I think one new school.
Marshall Montano,
Faye Alliance Alvarez,
Bunji Garlin.
Oh, Bunji Garlin. Billy Ocean. That's the one there I was trying to remember.
To name a few.
Yo.
Steel pan.
The steel pan is a national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. It is the only tuned percussion instrument created in the 20th century, birthed in Trinidad and Tobago, and it represents our culture and our people.
Thank you, Brandon and Darlene.
Well, alright, since we've covered so much with Trinidad and Tobago, from the pitch lake to the pitch of the soca music.
Only one thing left. We gotta check out the pitch of their diplomacy abroad.
Friend zone coming up. Yeah. There we go.
Well, there we go. So when you have a country made up of many parts of the world put into one, you're going to have a lot of international interaction.
Trinidad does know who they align with.
For one, they have a deep-rooted historical relationship with India, as 225 Indian indentured laborers were brought over to the islands in 1845, and now nearly 200 years later, they make up about a third of the entire population. Indian citizens are allowed to enter visa-free, and India has made numerous investment agreements with the nation. US and Canada have the largest Trini diaspora community outside the country. country and have had close ties even before independence. Trinidad and Tobago are part of the Caribbean Basin Initiative that the U.S. fosters and seeks to build business and commercial services between them, and Canada is not only a major trade partner, but, as we mentioned before, has always kept an eye on them ever since they had those halted talks about joining Canada as a possible province alongside with the rest of the Indies Federation. Having been a former British colony, obviously the UK is still in their periphery of diplomacy. Many Trinis go to the UK to study abroad and have family there, and also, of course, being within the Commonwealth of Nations. When it comes to their best friends, however, of course, you have to look at CARICOM. The Caribbean community is already pretty tight as they are, but they do have their cliques. Guyana is a close one. Back in the 90s, they forgave hundreds of millions of US dollars worth of debt that Guyana owed to them under the Paris Club Agreement, and thousands of Guyanese migrated to Trinidad and Tobago to find work. When it comes to their best friends, however, 4 out of 5 times, Trinis will tell me it's a little complicated, but most likely the number one homie is Jamaica. As the 2 largest Anglophone
I should have thought of that one,
nations in the Caribbean, sharing a mutual British-based history and having some of the most powerful influences over the Caribbean, Trinis and Jamaicans have the biggest loving yet kind of rivalry, but like good rivalry relationship. Each one thinks their music is better, their food is better, their parties are crazier. It never ends, but when they actually meet each other in person, like face to face, it's like an instant connection. Wedding 2 months later, Trina making babies shortly after. In conclusion, Mason, you take it away. You're the Trini guy. I'm going to step off my stool. So now you're just going to speak from the heart, man.
In conclusion, be it the music, the festivals, the food, the people, the land, Trinidad is so unique, and every country is unique in its own way, but definitely a place to visit, definitely a place to go. You might get a culture shock depending on where you're from, but if you go with manners, you will be welcomed and you'll have a great time. And Trinidad KFC is the best KFC in the Caribbean.
He's still on about it.
Mason, man, thank you so much for coming to this episode. Stay tuned. Tunisia is coming up next.
Kinda knew a majority of the things that was mentioned, so a few things were like polished up for me. A few things were like a few knowledge in terms of like the lingo. I really have like a strong connection in a type way, like spiritually. I don't know, maybe it's because I started doing, you know, soca, and I loved soca, got into it, got into the culture, the Trinidad and Tobago, that I feel the way I feel today. I mean, I don't know. I really love this episode. I really love Trinidad myself, so big up to everyone watching. Hopefully I will visit your beautiful island country, you know. Definitely on my bucket list, and it's always been. It's just the coronavirus just messed everything up, you know what I'm saying. So God bless, thank you beautiful people for watching. I'm out. One love. Yo.